Here in Scottsbluff, and I'm also a member of the Panhandle Flyers Club we formed about a year ago. Our purpose for inviting you today, Neil Smith would love to be here, but he's suffering on an Alaskan cruise. Timing just didn't work. Normally this was last Saturday in the past. We changed the date this year for a couple of reasons, but it will be this Saturday, June 13th. You've got information there before you as to some of the things that are going on and the times. We've been doing this since about 1998, where we want to bring in community members and their families to come just realize we've got a great asset out here at the airport and that general aviation isn't totally dead. We have pilots from around the area that will fly in if the weather cooperates, and they'll come in and bring their planes and they'll land and tie them down here, park them here, and people can look and enjoy. We have breakfast available, lunch will be available, there'll be different vendors on the field. One of the highlights for the boys and girls are the Young Eagles rides. Any boy or girl between 8 and 18 who's never been up in an airplane will have the opportunity to have some of our members and others from the area that are members of EAA come and fly them on their first airplane ride. I remember my first airplane ride in elementary school, and I'm hooked. I've been hooked ever since. It's just a great day to bring the family out to the airport, spend some time and enjoy. There's lots to see, like Rosie the Riviter here, who is younger than you'd think, because we saw her pictures a long time ago in publications during World War II. But New Creed. Sherry Fisher does a good job of presenting who Rosie the Riveter was, and then we've got Tyler Sandberg here. So we'll let Rosie talk to you a little bit, answer any questions you might have. Then we'll have you talk to Tyler about the military plane coming in. And if you have any other questions, I'll try and do my best to just answer.
Hi, I'm Sherry Fisher, aka Rosie the Riveter. During World War II, this country couldn't have run itself if it wasn't for the women, because all the men and the boys went overseas to fight. We did everything from building ships, tanks, ordnance, building airplanes, even down, if you really want to break it down, they even were mail people, ran all the stores. We ran the country while the guys were gone. Then the guys come back and we're back in the home again. Me, myself, I'm not a curtain hanger, is what we call them. But another thing that they did, even the boys were fighting, the girls even had baseball teams. And I think they went into 48 or 49, they played baseball. And then the men started getting back into that. Another thing we had was victory gardens. And that's what kept our nation stores full. Another thing that they had was scrap piles. Razor blades, they used razor blades for shrapnel. Silk stockings for parachutes. Anything that you had, lard for glycerin. Everybody saved all the fat off the hog and the beef, and they had rendering plants for that. Yeah, I love that era. I guess I was born at the wrong time, but my parents were in it, which was cool. They were in high school. And my mother told me one time she was laying outside and she saw all the bombers flying over in formation. And I thought, wow, what a sight that would be, you know. And my grandfather worked in an ordnance plant in Grand Island. So the war has truly affected me. That World War II is something I've always been interested in. My father-in-law drove a tank for Patton. So I feel very honored to represent Rosie. I just can't believe what the girls did back in those days to get to where we're at today.
I'm Tyler Sandberg. I'm a captain in the Nebraska Air National Guard. But one of the great things about the Air National Guard and the National Guard in general is that I'm just a traditional guardsman. So one weekend a month essentially. I'm a KC-135 pilot, but most of the time I live here in Gearing and work at Sandberg Implements. So we could have the best of both worlds. And we're really excited to get to come out next week with the KC-135. The Nebraska Air National Guard in Lincoln has flown the KC-135 since about 1994. And we get a few opportunities to come out here and show the western half of the state. So like I said, it's a rare opportunity for us to get the chance to bring that airplane that represents the entire state of Nebraska out here to the Panhandle. And so I was thrilled to get the chance to do that this year. We not only do missions around the local area training in Nebraska, but we're constantly providing that refueling capability to the regular Air Force. And in addition to that, provide a lot of assets to the state of Nebraska and at the arm of the governor. As a result of that, we've got several support organizations that do civil engineering, that do disaster relief, lots of other things the Nebraska Air National Guard does. But being so geographically separated from out here in the Panhandle, a lot of people maybe don't have a chance to see that, and hopefully we can get a chance to at least bring the iron out here and show everybody the KC-135.
There'll be several things taking place Saturday. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning, runs till 1 o'clock. Again, we have breakfast available, we have lunch available, different vendors will be here making those things so people can just enjoy breakfast or lunch. One of the highlights, as I said, will be the Young Eagles rides for boys and girls age 8 to 18. I would encourage families to get themselves here early, get their young person on the list because we can only fly so many, depends how many planes we have and how the day goes. But get them on the list for that. 7 to 17 years old, We'll have a banner pulling plane from Colorado. He'll be hitching banners here and flying them over the Scottsbluff Gearing area for different businesses in the community. And when he takes them off and drops them back off, it's quite a sight to see, something to enjoy. The pilots flying in, we're spreading word. We're having a spot landing contest to see who can land closest to a specific spot out on the runway, and we have a trophy and some prizes for the first few that do real well with hitting that spot. Tyler will be here with the KC-135. We have Runza Restaurants is sponsoring a P-51, which is another World War II vintage reality that'll be here along with Rosie. We'll be here on the field. The P-51 was quite an important airplane to winning the war. There were many amazing fighter planes and bombers, but the P-51 is well known and is enjoyed to see and to hear as it comes and as it goes. So 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock on Saturday. Again, boys and girls age 7 to 17 can potentially get an airplane ride if they get here and get signed up and get in line and things go well. There's just to be a lot to see, a lot of fun. We're encouraging our pilots here on the field to pull their planes out and park them so people can walk around and look and just be amazed at the wonder of aviation and general aviation. I'll be here, do the announcing, but we'll also talk to anybody who wants to talk about Panhandle Flyers, our flying club, and the possibilities to learn to fly or get back in the air flying or have an affordable way, much more affordable way to fly, and that's available here on the field.
We'll also have the K9 units come out here. We have the State Patrol bringing out their dog. We have the Sheriff's Department. We have each department, Scottsbluff and Gearing, going to bring theirs out. We've also invited the, I believe it's High Plains Car Club to come out and show their cars. We're also going to have the bomb squad out here with their little robot, and they have quite fun chasing these kids with it. I got a kick out of that last year, the year before, and they have quite fun with that too, and they'll be doing a demo. So it's a jam-packed day. Please come out, have some fun. The weather's supposed to be beautiful. Come on down. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes, Rosie, I just had a kind of a historic question about mindset and how the women accepted going into the workforce. This was the first time probably any of them had worked outside the home. And what was that like for them?
It was tough. You know, you were supposed to be at home all the time and take care of the children and cook. Well, needless to say, we needed to get that product out to either their husband or their boyfriend or whoever they had overseas. Maybe it was their brother, their father. You know, they had to get over there. There was also, with that aviation, when they built these planes, they needed people to fly them so they could get them ferried out overseas. And that's where we really sunk in on our WASP program. That's when the ladies would jump in, learn how to fly. And they had less than 10 hours of flight time, and they were ferrying planes back and forth. But it was tough on them. They had to buckle down and get to going. And then after they got into this routine, the guys are back. We won the war. We had victory. And then they had to reverse role again. So it was tough on them. I think it had to be. That's my opinion.
I had a grandma and an aunt, both worked at the Willow Run Bomber Plant in Michigan, building Boeings, you know, the B-series bombers. Yeah.
Well, and they built stuff besides the planes. They did ammunition.
Yep.
That was very dangerous. I'm sure many lost their lives.
Tanks, ships, did the parachutes, did everything. I mean, you know, plus run the country. You know, there was very few men here. They had to do everything. The farming, you know, look at the United States. We're such a agricultural nation that a lot of them had to do all the farming. So it was quite a deal. That's what makes us girls tough today. Generation to generation. And thanks to those ladies, women in aviation is heading up. Now we have our first Blue Angel pilot, and she is doing great. Us women are very, very proud of her. Very proud.
And with, you know, nationally there's not as many pilots as needed today. Is this also kind of to spark interest in younger generation to maybe become pilots, or?
Absolutely. No matter what airplane or how big of an airplane, if you're flying a 747 or if you're flying something small as a professional pilot, you start at an airport like this, a general aviation airport. And it starts with a desire to want to learn to fly. And I have a very neat photograph of a KC-135 of the Nebraska Air National Guard here on the ramp at Scottsbluff, and I'm standing there with my brother and the crew. And certainly that inspired me to want to do that and to learn to fly. So if we can get young people here to take a look at the opportunities in aviation, to get a chance, if they might not otherwise have had that chance, to get up and take a ride in an airplane, then the more the merrier. That's fantastic.
Tyler, how long have you been flying?
I've been flying in the Air Force since about 2006, so I guess that makes almost 8 years, 9 years. But I started my career as a navigator on active duty, joined the Air Force to see the world, and was stationed at Offutt in Omaha, so I made it all the way across the state. But I really have had the chance to see the world, so it's been great. And been a pilot in Nebraska Air National Guard for just over, it'll be exactly 2 years here at the end of June.
Gary, you talked about your first flight in grade school. Do you remember what that felt like?
Oh my, it's one of those, I was hooked immediately. You know, sitting in the back seat of a Cessna 172 in Owasso, Michigan, with a pastor friend of my dad's who was willing to fly anybody, anytime, because he just wanted to build hours. And to see things from the sky is just phenomenal. In fact, I've had this burning desire to fly over Lusk. since things, just to see what happened in Lusk, but see it from the air, see it from that perspective. I haven't been able to do that because the weather hasn't cooperated with me till today. But yeah, it's something that any young person, you know, some might go up and say, I never want to do that again. But others go up and say, how soon can I start lessons? And we just want to make that available to the public. You know, general aviation used to be a lot more prevalent than it is today. And there's a variety of reasons. Cost is one. So clubs like our Panhandle Flyers helps keep the price down so people can actually live that dream of learning to fly, learning to fly an airplane, or getting a place soloing an airplane. And we have an instructor who's a part of our club, so he'll teach you to fly.
And our mechanic.
And our mechanic, yeah, he also works on our plane, so, yeah.
I was blessed, very much so, because my daddy was a pilot, and I was a daddy's girl, so I always went everywhere with my father. And now I go to these fly-ins like we're going to have this weekend, and we call them tail draggers because there's a wheel on the back of the tail. And I used to have long blonde hair, and Mom would put that in a ponytail, and every time I see a daddy and a little girl with a little ponytail, I thought, oh man, she's seventh heaven, you know? She's with her papa in the plane. So I was blessed. I was brought up flying. I soloed, and then I went down to get my driver's test the same day, and I flunked it. It took me 4 times to get my driver's test. So she can fly, but she can't drive, which was kind of ironic. And my daddy cut my tail. When you solo, they cut a piece of, we call it your tail, of your shirt
tail.
off. Yeah. And then write the date on it. So yeah, you can start flying when you're young. 14, that's when we like to get them up in the air and get them going. And 16, you solo, and 17, you can get your pilot's license. So you can get a pilot's license as soon as 17.
So please spread the word for us. Looking forward to a big day on Saturday. Tell people, bring your sunscreen. I got so sunburned last year, it was terrible.
Oh,
bring your sunscreen.
Pull in down by FedEx. Make sure you, please, let them know it's FedEx, not up here at the terminal. But if you do turn into the terminal, go in and see that beautiful terminal we have. It is just gorgeous. And it's got World War II era in it, of course. But this is how Scottsbluff got an airport, is because of World War II. So, yeah, it's pretty cool in there. And bring a lawn chair.
Be plenty to sit and watch and see.
We're going to have a jam-packed fun day.